Hi, Dave Coleman here with the third post in the series on the road to zero carbon freight transport. Today's post will look at creating an action plan to help you achieve your net zero vision for transport. Now, we've all seen how nice city air can be during lockdown. One only has to look at photos before and during COVID of any of the major cities and you can see what's possible. Without any traffic on the roads, there's real tangible health and environmental benefits. And that gives us confidence and certainty that the hard work that's needed to decarbonise freight transport will be worth it. Because trucks and vans, they contribute so much to toxic air pollution, and that causes cancers, asthma, a whole range of health and social problems and costs. And that all reduces our quality of life. And in greenhouse gas emission terms, trucks and vans are responsible for over 60% of freight's emissions. If you look at this graphic from the Smart Freight Centre, it shows all the shares of greenhouse gas emissions by freight mode. And now each mode needs lots of work to decarbonise, but most of the technology we already have, and the rest is being developed and being developed very quickly. To clean up freight transport, we all need to act. It will take a collective effort from all parties along each supply chain. To clean up our sector, we all must do what we can, wherever we fit in, no matter how big or small. Each of us needs to make a public commitment to clean up our act and then do something. So I'll get things rolling now. Okay, we've made a start. We've drawn a line in the sand today. Even if it's symbolic, do something and you can build speed from there. And to do that, we'll need a map to guide us, because every company's route will be different, depending where you're starting from and where you want to go to. And the best guidance to develop your own comes from the Smart Freight Centre. They're the global non-profit for sustainable freight, and they set the standards for how companies can achieve net zero logistics emissions. Thanks to the Smart Freight Centre, I'll run through the course materials that shows you how to develop your roadmap in 4 steps. It's designed for multinational companies that move a lot of freight. It's often outsourced to many third parties, so it's hard to have complete oversight, let alone control over your supply chain emissions. And it's aimed at procurement, logistics and sustainability professionals to give you the structure and the tools to set your targets, to measure the right things, to take action and report progress. So if you want to know what's the one thing that you can do right now to move the needle in the right direction on your transport emissions, it's to train your people in how to develop a sustainable logistics roadmap. So let's look at the program. Step 1, where are we now? This is where you map what's already in place at your company and calculate and report your emissions. Now, it's critical to have consistent measurement across the different transport modes so everyone speaks a common language. So what the Smart Freight Centre did was convene the Global Logistics Emissions Council to harmonise emissions accounting under a global standard that's called the GLEC framework. So you use GLEC to manage your emissions and also to report to your customers, investors, to staff and communities in all your corporate social responsibility disclosures. Now, getting measurement right is absolutely crucial to your roadmap, so we'll go deeper into metrics in the next post in this series. So look out for that one. Step 2, where are we going? This is where you link logistics to your company's overall sustainability vision. You set goals for your company and your suppliers regarding your logistics. You set reduction targets based on the climate science, so you know you're aligned to the world's goals under the Paris Agreement. And you set concrete targets for both total greenhouse gas emissions and the emissions intensity as your company grows. And it's not just about setting a 2050 target, but also set targets for the next 5 to 10 years so you can stay on track. This is how carbon becomes a KPI for your business. Step 3, how do we get there? Well, with good emissions data, you can develop your reduction plan. You can prioritise hotspots where emissions and opportunities to reduce them are significant. You can assess the impact of solutions both before and after implementation. And you can see if all the solutions that you choose are enough to actually achieve your targets. Professor Alan McKinnon, a leading authority on decarbonising logistics, has identified 5 solution areas. First, there's energy, so using low carbon fuels. Second is efficiency, so the fuel and energy efficiency of your fleets and your buildings. Then there's utilisation, so that's using those fleets and those assets to the absolute max. Fourthly is the transport modes and how you combine them in smart ways to optimise. And then lastly, there's demand. So this is where you manage growth by making changes to your supply chain to reduce the number of vehicle trips as your company grows. Now, these are our levers. These are our toolbox of options to reduce transport emissions. And the fourth step, what do we need to do this? Well, the most powerful motivator for carriers and forwarders is demand for emission reductions from their customers. So the Smart Freight Centre has developed the Smart Freight Procurement Guidelines to integrate climate action into your tendering and contract management processes. Now, obviously also you must commit resources to do this, but you also must collaborate with your supply chain peers and your partners to get there at scale, because no one company can do this all alone. This training is all about you and your company developing your internal capability to meet your sustainable logistics goals. When you complete the course, you'll take home the foundations of a plan specific to your company. The course is delivered online in 10 weekly live webinars. And if you involve your logistics partners, you'll amplify the course's value throughout your supply chain and get real focused collaboration right from the start. Now, the next course is in September, but there's a catch. It's time for European and North and South Americans. So for Australia and Asia, it's in the middle of the night. And you can't watch a recording because it's all about interactive learning. However, the Smart Freight Centre will run a course for us if we can get enough people. So that's our challenge. If you're anywhere from Vietnam to New Zealand, China, Japan to Singapore, or anywhere in between, contact me or the Smart Freight Centre directly to show your interest. Today we've seen both what's possible and the scale of action that's needed to clean up our freight, because you saw what an 80% reduction in intensity looks like. Even if just in terms of my hair, that's the scale of action that we're talking about here. Now, the next post in the series, I'll take you deeper into measurement, the critical starting point for any logistics emission reduction program. But in the meantime, please get in touch. Tell me about your intentions with clean transport. What are your achievements? What are the challenges? I'd love to hear from you. You never know, maybe I can help. See you soon.